My main man. And on top of that, he can hoop a little bit too. That's what it get even more dangerous because he hoop a little bit, man. My main man Drake, you in the building. What's going on, big dog?
What up, man? How are you?
I'm
It's
good,
been
man.
it's been too long.
It's been way too long, man. It's been way too long. So look, my man was at the pro am. You was out there hooping in the pro am.
Trying to. I still can't walk. That was about 3 weeks ago, but it was fun. They had us playing back to back nights, and as you get older, man, you know how the body just doesn't
Listen,
recover the way it used to with all
I,
those. We used to play 4 games in a day in the AAU days growing up, and 4 games a month
I'm about to
is good
say
enough for me.
I'm about to say that might be all I got. I got my one Sunday out in West Sac, and then and don't let me come out to the pickups where you're at. You know what I'm saying? I might have to come out there one day. I might be it for about 2-3 weeks.
Hey, we just recruited Xavier Thames, Sac legend, has been coming out on Wednesday nights with us. It's been a nice addition. We got good runs. We're still waiting for you to come out.
Catch and shoot. That's all I got, man. I'm be on your team because you can create. You just kick it out to me or whatever the case may be. Defense, help, help, hey, switch, switch. That's what I'm doing out there on the defensive end. That's how we doing. But yeah, man, it's good. It's funny because I was playing Sunday in West Sac. I'm in the league that just ended over there, and I think it's 35 and over. And my man JT was in here earlier. One of my teammates. They all talking about they tore their Achilles. Yeah, like another dude. I was like,
Oh,
I might be done, bro. I don't need those problems, man. I might be done. I might stick to softball. I play my little softball on Friday nights. I might stick to that. There's a little less sudden
pickleball.
movement softball.
Yeah.
Pickleball, that seems like it's a little dangerous in itself for my age. You
Yeah,
younger
but
than
I,
me.
I
You
think
ain't the
you
same
can
age
play.
as me.
It's a lot gentler on our bodies than hoop is these
Yeah,
days.
hoop is crazy. But I don't know, Drake. You know how I can't leave. It just keep calling me. I feel like they're gonna have to wheel me off. They're gonna have to wheel me off, man. I can't leave, man.
Hey, till the wheels fall off. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. So look, Drake, I love that you were able to come on today, man, because we've been talking um a lot about the Kings and a lot about what's next for them roster wise, rotation wise, and all this other stuff. But let's just backpedal. The Kings getting DeMar DeRozan. I saw you a couple of weeks ago. We was at Cali Live. That was a great event. I hope that comes back again next
Good
year. Shout
man.
out to
Yeah.
Cali Live and the people that put it on out there and brought it to Roseville. But we kind of both thought it was Ingram. And then out of nowhere, DeRozan comes in. And the more I've heard from DeRozan, the more, I see interviews, I hear him talk, I think about the situation. And just is an all-around situation, basketball, on the court, off the court, in the locker room. Man, it feels like DeRozan might have been the perfect fit for what this team needs. What you think, though?
Yeah, I think I'm really curious to see how Mike kind of puts everything together. I think that from a talent standpoint, I think he's an upgrade positionally. I think that he's someone that can come in, and I think the Kings really lacked, especially late game, like a lot of pressure is put on De'Aaron late to
Mhm.
try and go get a bucket. And I think that having one extra guy that can, you know, draw the attention of like Herb Jones or Jaden McDaniels or someone that can like De'Aaron can just kind of get a little bit of a break of and not have to go nightly against the team's best perimeter defenders. I think will definitely help. But I feel like I'm really curious just from like a style of play and DeMar has always struck me as like a great ISO player and obviously a lot of his buckets come in the mid range and
Mhm.
so not known for being a great 3-point shooter. So I'm curious to see how the fit goes offensively. But I mean, Mike's a great coach. He can put them in positions to make sure that they're figuring things out. But
Yeah.
overall, I think, especially considering what they were able to give up and still have Herder on the roster, I'm sure
Mhm.
hopefully there's still some moves to be made down the road. But yeah, I'm intrigued, and I think even like personality wise, I think I've heard great things about Demar as a person, and I think it
Yeah.
really helped the locker room and just kind of they were definitely in need of some change. So let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I show respect to him as we all should. Harrison Barnes did his thing here with the Kings for as long as we could. We talked about how kind of essentially the Kings might have outgrew Harrison to a certain degree. You know, he helped get them to a certain point, but if they wanted to go further, that's probably where they had to make the move. And the way he plays the game and some of the things he talks about, or the way he goes about some things out there on the floor, it feels like DeRozan might kind of easily slide into that Harrison spot and be a better version of him. Feels like Harrison was a little more willing to take the three ball, but in the mid range, I mean, it's a massive upgrade. Just shot creation, shot making. At the very least, being a two-level scorer, being able to finish inside and in the mid range, it seems like it's a clear upgrade. And I wonder if that's where they look, where they can just kind of slide DeRozan into that Harrison role.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some similarities. I mean, I'm a huge Harrison Barnes fan. I feel like everything from professionalism to even on court and versatility, him being able to kind of play that 3-4 position. I think DeMar's a little smaller, and can probably slide up and play some two. I've seen like some different things out there, like mentioning even inserting Trey Lyles into the four and having DeMar start at the two with Keegan at the three. And I think that like the coaching staff will have uh, a good amount of options and varieties to play with as far as lineups go. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see how the fit can work. I felt like a lot of the success that the Kings had offensively 2 years ago came a lot off
Mhm.
of like DHOs and a lot of cutting action, and I thought that like Herter was great in that half court offense, and I feel like it'll be a different look with Demar out there. I don't necessarily think he's known for as a cutter. I think he's known
Mhm.
as like a straight like clear out one side and let him get a bucket. So
Yeah.
it'll probably look a little different than or take some time to kind of adjust to. But I think I'm excited about the change. Like you said, I feel like it kind of ran its course, and in order to be competitive, they had to make a change. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I think about offensively because I do think I've said it a number of different times. I think this team is going to be pretty potent on the offensive end. There's just a lot of bucket getters, and not a lot of teams have enough defenders to guard everybody. You know what I mean? And I think that, and you also take into effect Demar. I think he's a better playmaker than people give him credit for, and making plays for others.
yeah,
So I think that's the case. But to your point, I think it's gonna look different. I think a lot of the times 2 years ago, it was some DHOs and they were big on the 3 points. I think we had a stat where if they hit 15 or more threes or 12 or more threes or something like that, I don't remember what it was. It was something like 28 and 2 or something like that.
wow,
They I don't know if they're gonna be that I'm pretty sure they won't be that reliant on the three-point shot this time around with this group, but they could be just as deadly with the people they have now with DeRozan and Fox and Monk and even the development of Keegan Murray and all that.
totally. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I feel like Demar's. I've always thought Demar's a better shooter than, especially from three. You would think that maybe he even last year I think he shot 33 or something, and it was the most. I mean, the high number of attempts for Demar is like three a game. But who knows? Maybe he's able to kind of develop that aspect. And typically, I mean, I'm becoming a worse shooter with age, but I feel like in the NBA level, people tend to the older you get, the more you start to rely on the jumper a little more, and maybe he's able
That's what I say.
to continue to evolve his game. So we'll see.
That's what I say. I'm becoming a better shooter with age because that's about all I can do at this point. I can't blow by nobody or what, so I better make
Right.
sure my shot is looking right. So, um the other big topic that's been going on right now is who do you start? And I've said a number of different times, I'm more about the finishing lineup as opposed like I want to know who's finishing
Yeah.
and as opposed to who's starting. But we could have the conversation. A lot of people think Keon Ellis is a better fit in the starting lineup than Malik Monk. I was at a point where I was after last year and seeing what he did and him signing back, I was like, all right, let's get this Kentucky thing going, man. It's time, man. Let's turn them into this version of Dame and CJ, where yeah, they're maybe a little undersized. They're not great defender. I think Fox is a good defender, but Malik isn't a great defender, and but they're just dynamic offensively. Let's do it. Let's do it. A lot of people are like, hold on. You got Keon Ellis there who could start at the two, and you could put Malik Monk back in his position as being that guy off the bench. What do you think? How do you see that situation playing out, and how would you go about it with the starting lineup and really the finishing lineup?
So are you assuming that Herder's not on the roster come opening night, or
You know what? To be honest with you, first of all, I'm assuming he isn't. Second of all, even if he is, and if and we'll I'll digress to that real quick because if Herder isn't traded, I still do think there's a place for him on this in this rotation. You know what I mean? I think to a certain degree, after everything that the Kings have gotten and everything else like that, I think the next acquisition, whether it's trade or free agency or a little maybe a little small move, is a knockdown shooter. You know, I said the other day, like I'd like to see a guy, maybe not this guy per se, but a guy like Duncan Robinson, who just spreads the floor, can shoot the rock. I think Kevin Herter can play that role and he could do a little bit more. I don't see him as a starter anymore, though. Not with this team, not with Mike Brown as a coach. There's something going on there where Mike just doesn't feel comfortable with him as a starter. I think that ship has sailed, but I do think there's a place for him on this team if he's not traded.
yeah, great points. Great. These are the fun basketball conversations that we can sit here and have this time of year. I going back to like Malik. I actually love Malik in the role that he's in. I think it best serves him, and I think that there's a lot of nights where you can finish games with Malik. And so I'm with you on the, less importance on the starters and more of an emphasis on who's ending games. Um, I love Malik in that off the bench spark. I mean, there's so many games that he's won this year where he's been able to do just that, come in and provide a scoring punch on when your starters are starting off the night slow some nights, or him just being able to capitalize against the second unit. I feel like that's why Bobby Jackson was so potent in his day. Um, I think, yeah, it's less about starting to me and more. But I think that Keon is the perfect role piece, especially if you got guys that he can kind of step in and be that extra defensive complement to De'Aaron in the backcourt, and doesn't need the ball. He does a lot of the things that I would say like Malik's more of a scorer, and I think you got, with the addition of DeMar, I feel like you got enough scoring in that first unit. You need someone that's going to be able to step up, defend, make hustle plays, make open shots the way that Keon showed he could do late in the season. So I'm probably with you. I think that I would probably expect Herter to be moved as well, and whether it's for I mean, it'd be interesting if they were able to land a Kuzma or a Jeremy Grant
Mm,
or someone, just to try and really make a push for that, like a top, put you in like that top four in the West conversation.
yeah,
Um, so we'll see. I mean, so much of it, Keegan, I think, has to take another step forward and to kind of solidify that first
mhm.
group and like take that next step in his career. So there's a lot of question marks, a lot of fun, like you know, hypotheticals this time of year. So,
Yeah.
but as far as the stars, I like where your head's at. I feel like it's. I would probably lean Keon if Herter was off the roster, or depending on who they bring in.
Yeah. We got my main man Drake Yu, just a basketball aficionado, former front office executive. Now, he out there willing and dealing now, boy. That boy Drake Yu making moves out here now, man. I see him doing his thing, man, but he still gets on the court as well. And I just love talking basketball with my guy, man. He's a great basketball mind. He's kind enough to give us some time here on D-Lo and KC today. You brought up Keegan Murray. Um, are you concerned at all about Keegan Murray being a little too passive now that you have all these offensive weapons here? That's kind of been my concern in the past, that he's not aggressive enough from time to time. I felt like he stepped up in a major way with his aggression when Malik went down. But now Malik will be back, and you added DeRozan, another guy that's going to get his 15 to 20 shots a night. Are you worried about Keegan, um, kind of just being passive and not being as aggressive offensively?
Um, I don't know that I would say I'm worried. I think that maybe personality wise, he might be more comfortable as a legitimate third or fourth option. And, while we might have these ideas of him becoming like an all star or second, uh, you know, second option on a team, I think that with someone like DeMar, he can also take pressure off Keegan is from a scoring expectation. I think that like, um, I don't know. I still find him to be like an elite shot maker, elite off the ball cutter, and he's great at doing a lot with very little. And so, maybe it simplifies his role. And like, I think with between him and Harrison, there was too many lulls where at different points of the game, you were looking for one guy to step up and make a shot or score. And if it wasn't Harrison, then we were relying on Keegan. If it wasn't both of them, then offense was really struggling at times. And so I feel like I wouldn't say I'm concerned with Keegan, but I would expect him to, especially after I saw he was doing his thing with the select team, having a good summer, coming back, 2 years under his belt, maybe a little bit more role clarity, or at least understanding who he is within this new roster. And um, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of with you after that first year. I was hoping he'd make a big sophomore jump, probably bigger than he did, and he showed spurts of it with a couple 40-point games or big outbursts. But I think it's still early for me to say I'm concerned, but I would almost expect him to maybe have an easier time this with less expectation put on him.
Yeah, I'm with that. And Drake, we'll produce a little bit live right here. Do you have time, or do you have to go, or anything else like that? Or
I'm
whenever
good.
you
Yeah.
okay,
No, I'm
just
good.
making sure. Just making sure, man, because it's a busy man right here. This is a busy man. Um, so no, that's perfect. That's great. I said something, and I've continued to say it. I'm standing on business. I feel this way authentically. I think the floor for this team with health, and this is before you get anybody else. I'm just assuming health and all this other stuff. I think the floor for this team is 52 wins. I really feel that way. Is that a little too ambitious with DeRozan and all this other stuff? Is that a little too ambitious? Is that when I talk about the floor, like I said, I think worst case scenario, there are 50. I won't hedge my bet. I'll get off the fence. I'll stick with 52. But they're a 50-win team with DeRozan. Is that a little bit too pie in the sky to say that that's their floor?
I would say you're crazy.
I'm gonna tell you my.
No,
I'm gonna tell you. Let me explain my reasoning though. This is where I'm coming
yeah,
from.
not here.
2 years ago,
Floor.
they were healthy. They got 48. I thought they probably could have got. They didn't play the last 3 games. They started off 0-4 and all this other stuff. I would say their ceiling that year probably was like 52 games or something like that. Like in 2 years ago, no injuries, nothing like that. Last year they had some injuries, nothing like crazy, but they had injuries that they had to deal with. Fox got hurt, Monk got hurt, all this other stuff. They got to 46. You combine that with Herter and Barnes not really being effective, still got to 46. I think once again, assuming health and a better production from DeMar DeRozan, better production from Keon Ellis. I think Keon Ellis can do a lot of good things out there. Not only is he a good defender, he can shoot the ball. He can flat out shoot, like catch and shoot and open looks like that. He'll knock those down. I think all those things combined, I'm looking at 50 wins.
52.
52. I did say 52. But I might have to backtrack and say the floor is 50. I might have to back. But either way, we in that 5-0 somewhere. We in that 5.
I love that. I love the optimism. Coach Yeager a couple years ago opened my eyes to the importance of managing expectations, and I feel like you want to sell low and then exceed. The year that we ended up winning almost 40 games after like having a rough year, I remember Yeags was going around and saying we were going to win 10 games this year, like dead serious. And then boom, we started playing fast, and he's a genius.
Yeah.
uh, but no, I think that while I hear you on one hand for sure, I just think that I look at the rest of the West and I feel like a lot of these teams that are either out of the play-in.
Mhm,
I think teams are getting better. I think Memphis will be healthy next year.
mhm.
Utah, Houston, I think got better. And then I mean that's with like everyone that I'm looking at in the top 10 right now, likely coming back.
Utah
I'm not
didn't
sure
get
how
better.
Phoenix is going to go.
Utah didn't get better. Utah, they're gonna be down there with Portland.
Especially if they move Laurie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And they
think like
should be. Like they
San
shouldn't be trying to win. They should
Antonio.
be trying to get Cooper Flag. Like, what are
For
they doing
sure,
trying to get in the
for sure.
play-in this year? Like, lose as much as
Totally,
possible.
totally. I'm curious what the deal is with Laurie, if they're actually trying to move him or if they're,
Posturing.
I mean, I'm sure, yeah. Considering what they got for Gobert, I'm sure,
Mm.
Ainge is out there, asking for the house, but I just think that the rest of the West is, like, still ultra competitive, and, 50 is but damn, I mean, they had the top 6 were pretty much at 50 last year, so I
Yeah.
guess you're not that crazy.
I think
Um,
I think the Clippers fall off. I kinda think they fall off considerably. And I like the Clippers, I don't have no
really?
problem with it, but losing PG, I
Yeah,
love Kawhi, but you can't rely on him. You can't go into the season thinking you're gonna have him for a whole season.
totally.
I think the Clippers are in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's crazy to think that I love where the trend of the Kings has gone, where now the expectation is no longer 35 games, we're at 50.
I need that 50. I
I
need
like
that
it.
50, man.
I mean, I'm telling you, if I feel like they're one good piece away from, like, legitimately being a top 4 contender in the West,
Cam
and
Johnson?
Cam Johnson would be great. Yeah, and even yeah, Duncan Robinson's a great name. Cam Johnson's someone that I feel like is available, and I would
Mm,
um, love to see his name added to this roster. But yeah, I guess, hopefully in the coming weeks we'll kind of get some more information and see what's out there. But
hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah, you got my man Drake UU. He's up here chopping it up with me, man, talking hoop, man. And we've been talking to Kings, but I mean, he knows all the hoop, man. We could talk about everything. And one of the things we were talking about today after watching Team USA yesterday against Canada, um, I don't think I'm breaking news when I say this. I'm not it's just something that I noticed. I think we're about to embark on the greatest basketball tournament of all time in these Olympics. This is crazy. You've got Team USA, who arguably might be the greatest Team USA ever assembled. It might be the greatest basketball team ever assembled. This particular team, but they're not like they're the favorites, but they're not guaranteed to win the gold medal this year. I look at Canada. I like what they bring to the table. Serbia might give you something. Germany won the World Cup. You know what I mean? You got Greece with Giannis. They're in it this year as well too. I mean, this tournament's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Australia, yeah, that pool, they
Australia, I
call it
forgot
the
about
pool of
Australia.
death.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, even watch I caught, like, the tail end of the game last night, and I didn't it sounds like Canada, went up early and, like, looked good, and then, by the time I tuned in, they had pretty much taken all their starters out, and
yeah,
USA still had all their starters in,
yeah.
and it's just a different game. It's a different set of rules. I've seen these memes going around where it's like it's like Ricky Rubio, and it's like these dudes are average NBA players, but you put them in where they're playing for their country, and they turn into they
And
turn
man,
into different
I
animals.
I said the other day, USA basketball, like people who watch the USA basketball like we do for a long time, we're scarred forever by Carlos Arroyo. Carlos Arroyo and what he did in that game against Team USA, I'll never forget it. And then you got Jose Alvarado. He's got Puerto Rico back in there. They're in the
Man,
same
yeah,
pool, so
exactly,
you know
exactly.
you never know what's going to happen there, man. But yeah, that's essentially kind of what happened last night, though.
No, I'm with you. I feel like I'm really looking forward to watching some summer hoops, and yeah, that's the thing. It's like you can get all these. That's why I find like you know, Derek White replacement pick. It's like you're really trying to put together. Granted, I would still take a Jalen Brown, but
Yeah, that had a little bit more to do than just
seemed like a
basketball.
a little politics behind
Yeah.
that. But it is interesting. Like some of these teams, you can stack. USA is obviously stacked talent wise, but you got some of these guys that have been playing together since they were teenagers and giving them the chance to, the chemistry's there. They all buy into their roles.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's hard for a bunch of NBA stars to quickly gel
Yeah.
and, be cool with their new roles on this team. And, sometimes talent doesn't always win when it comes to like international play. So I think that's like to me, that's the beauty for any basketball junkie is being
Yeah,
able to like appreciate the beauty of team basketball and you know so and these dudes
absolutely.
are tough. It's like so it's such a different all these did Joel really foul out in 12 minutes yesterday?
Yeah, I think there was like, they had him the broadcast had him at 5 fouls. I think he only
Oh,
had 4 and he kinda got subbed out, but he had 4 fouls with like 12 in 12 minutes. It was yeah, there's been a lot of people today who it's one game, it's an exhibition game, it's whatever, but they're like, "Nah, Joel probably shouldn't start. That should be AD or Bam." Because what happened in that game, you probably didn't see this part was the young boys got him back in this. When Canada was out there with their starters, it was kind of going to work on Braun and Steph and Booker and Embiid and stuff like that. And then and Tatum came in and they kind of changed the game. They changed the energy. Bam came in there, whatever. AD came in there. So like a lot of people are saying today, Embiid, because he does. It is a little bit of a different fit with these guys. He's a little slower. He's a little more plodding right now. Unbelievably talented, obviously, but it's. I don't know if it'll match up. So a lot of people are like, "Nah, AD or Bam should be starting at center."
yeah, and Joel's ball dominant in his own way too.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, but the interesting thing though, Drake, was them young boys, man. Ant, people kind of laughed at Ant the other day when he was like, I should be the number one option or whatever. I'll tell you, yesterday he came out like he should be the number one option. Like he was balling.
I was so wrong about Anthony Edwards that draft. Like he he's been so fun to watch. I feel like to me, even just watching him from go from college to where he's at now, like there was so many. It was never about the talent. It was just really about his like. I can't, especially watching young guys play when I see them just like turning on and off whenever they, whenever they like to. He's that talented, and then
Mhm.
now he's like transitioning more of this like. There's something that started clicking with him on that Timberwolves
Yeah.
team, and he's matured. And I mean, to me, he's like the next. I've been having these conversations about like once Braun and Steph and some of these like you know guys that we've been fortunate enough to watch for the past it feels like a couple decades.
Mhm.
Now that they're starting to like who's next? Like who are those next stars? Obviously, like Luca's still young and probably like in his prime or not even in his prime yet. But to me, like Anthony Edwards is one of those young guys where suddenly like I'm really looking forward to watching him over the next 10 years and seeing what he can do. Shea, I think, is another guy you can throw in there, but
Mhm.
like I feel like this is also why I think playing the summertime in like USA and there's a level of can take your career to the next level when you get that gold medal and
Mhm.
put yourself on like a different uh, I don't know, people view you from a different lens when you start to like kind
Mhm.
of take pride in playing for your country and then you kind of carry that momentum that like you did last year even into the
Mhm.
regular season. I think is like it's pretty cool to watch. So
Yeah. No, he's
next
he's
up,
one of those guys. I got him as one of, if not the face of the league, um, in the next 5 years, and some of that has a lot of that has to do with his game. Like his game is special, but to me, to be the face of the league, or one of the things being the face of the league is there's a level of charisma you have to have, and there's a level of you got to make people feel right. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people are kind of indifferent to whether or not. I'm just throwing out a random player, but whether or not people are kind of indifferent if Jokic won or not, right? Like nobody's really invested one way or the other if he won a championship or he didn't. They're just like he's great at basketball because he just kind of plods along. But you get like intense arguments about LeBron. You get intense arguments about Russell Westbrook, about James Harden because they make you feel, right? Like they make you feel one way or the other. You either, really want to see them win or you like can't stand them or whatever. And I think the way Ant is like right now, he's got kind of probably 100% approval rating, but at some point, that's probably going to rub some people the wrong way, and that's where you get your stars. That's where you get your guys that
true.
that
Yeah, well
bring the
said.
ratings. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's going to be one of those guys.
He's unapologetically himself. And I think that's what makes him so like relatable and fun to watch is that he says what comes to mind. he dresses as if I feel like who you see on camera is probably who you see like behind the scenes too. And those to me are like my favorite athletes to kind of be around, where they really don't care what you think. They're going to be themselves and do it their way, and he's going to do it and be great. And I agree with that. I feel like he is that new face, and he is a breath of fresh air too. He's not trying
Yeah.
to he's not trying to run for mayor. Like he's out there
No.
just trying to win games and be the best player in the league, and like wants to earn it. And I think that
Yeah.
that's pretty dope.
Absolutely, absolutely. Drake, maybe you can help out this discussion. One of the things that we were talking about with Team USA, and I mentioned a little bit, was is this the greatest team ever assembled? When you talk about KD, LeBron, Steph, Embiid, Tatum, Booker, Ant Man, we're talking about some of the greatest players. When we said it done, when we do NBA 100, these are going to be some of the greatest players to ever play the game. And it really comes down, obviously, to the dream team. And, obviously the career wise, Magic and Larry are on a different plane, but I'm just talking about when these guys were playing. Larry he was borderline retired. Magic was retired too. But other than that, all the rest of those guys were in their prime. And the other thing about it is, aside from Christian Laettner, all those guys are Hall of Famers. And I look at this team, and we kind of broke it down a little bit. Drew Holiday's probably going to end up getting into the Hall of Fame. The resume is going to be crazy. And if you add a gold medal or two onto that, he's probably going to get
Yeah.
there. Bam was kind of borderline, but Bam is going to be like an 8-time All-Star, 8-time All-Defense with a gold medal or two. He'll probably get into the Hall of Fame. And that really leaves Derek White, who probably won't make the Hall of Fame. But you compare the two teams, I got to ask you, is this the greatest team ever assembled?
It's funny. I'm in this like NBA fantasy group. I'm a fantasy GM now that I'm not working for the Kings anymore. It gets heated discussions, and even more recent, a lot of my boys were like making cases that like they were comparing the 2008 team to
Mhm.
this year's team and
That
which
one
team would
falls off
win.
a
And
that one that '08 team kinda falls off a cliff kinda quick. Like, it's high end, but then Boozer, Tayshaun,
exactly,
like, it kinda falls off a cliff, and those guys were great at the
yeah,
time. Michael Redd, he was a great ball player, but it don't
yeah,
compare to
Michael
this.
Redd, yeah, yeah, yeah. You make a great point about this year's team. I just think that where the game was at when the dream team was around, and
Mm.
I just felt like they were so. Um, I mean, I'm talking as if I watched them. I feel like I was like just up and coming and born when they were. But I don't know. I think it really depends on how they perform this year. I feel like they have a chance to really obviously like they win gold, and I think they will go down, especially how competitive I feel like the rest of the world has caught up to.
Mhm,
It's not just Serbia anymore, Yugoslavia. It's like you've got several countries like we just talked about that have multiple NBA players, and Europe is high level basketball nowadays, and EuroLeague's the second best league in the world to the NBA, and so
yeah,
if they are able to pull this off, and it's harder because like obviously, I mean, you got an older Bron, an older Steph,
right.
older KD. Like some of these guys are getting a little aged, but um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's to be determined. I feel like if they can pull this out, then I think you can definitely make the case. And to your point, I didn't realize how many of these like current players have a chance of going to the Hall of Fame. Drew Holiday is
Mhm.
someone I wouldn't even thought about, but
Yeah, we
you're
had
right.
to
The
talk through that.
resume,
Yeah, we had to
yeah,
talk through that. I didn't think so either until you just kinda look at what's in front of you with the resume, and yeah, he probably gonna be a Hall of Famer.
yeah,
I still said 92. I still said 92, and I'm kinda
yeah.
with you. I may change my answer in a month, but as of right now,
I'm with you
it's
right now.
92.
Yeah,
And the X factor is the fact that, Michael Jordan in his prime, I don't think there's been a
yeah.
better basketball player in their prime ever to play, so I'll take my chances with him.
He's your
That's re
goat. Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to, man. I take my chances with him, man. Drake, man, I appreciate you, pulling up in the clutch, man, and having a nice little basketball discussion with me, man, and, man, we still gotta get that drink, man. Come on, man. It's been like sometimes it's on me. I ain't even gonna say it's all on you. Sometimes it's on me. We gotta sit down, get this drink. Maybe we do that for one of these Olympic games, man.
Please,
One of these Team
please.
USA games.
Yeah, we gotta go to
Yeah.
Crew.
Hey,
That's the
let's
spot.
do it. Hey, man, come on now. Let's make it happen. Oh, real quick
Alright.
before we get out of here, I want to ask you one thing. Andre Good, you ready? You ready for Cal?
He's good. Yeah, he's really ready. Yeah, this transfer portal stuff is wild nowadays. All these kids, I feel like within the last year, uh, this
Crazy.
portal has become a real thing, and
Yeah.
now you're getting a bunch of what used to be 4-year players. Now everyone's going. They have 4 schools on their resumes. By the time it's a money game now, and it's wild.
It's crazy.
But with the coaching change at Stanford and Mark Matson, who's now head coach at Cal.
Yeah.
If you like, I mean, Andre was fortunate enough to have like the entire country, you know, knocking
And
at the
that's
door for him
and
to come
that's the thing.
play.
That's what makes him great, man. I can't wait to see him at Cal doing his thing, man. But once again, I appreciate you pulling up on
Yeah,
me, man, talking with me and
appreciate
everything,
you
man. And
guys.